Jay, this is a big shift from what we saw and heard from Jordan yesterday. Walk us through the timeline here, how we went from no third vote, temporary speaker, now, yes, there's a third vote, and Jordan just emphasizing when asked about that plan to give more power to the temporary speaker, he didn't really answer. He just said the fastest way to get the House open again is to elect a new speaker.
Well, and that plan failed yesterday. So the plan that Jim Jordan and his allies had yesterday was to empower Patrick McHenry, the temporary Speaker of the House, give him additional powers, but keep Jim Jordan as the Republican nominee, in a sense, for Speaker. He would still run for Speaker, try to work on those 22 or so holdout votes while Patrick McHenry carried out the duties as Speaker. That would allow the House to get back on track, because you can't bring any legislation to the floor until there is a Speaker. But that plan, again, failed yesterday. It didn't get enough Republican support. And then Jim Jordan said there would be a vote last night. There wasn't a vote last night. Then he and his team said there would be a vote at 10 a.m. today. He seemed to hold true to that in this press conference, so we're bracing for another vote this morning. From those 22 holdouts, though, you heard Jordan mention he met with them yesterday. I was outside that meeting, and every single holdout vote who walked out of that meeting said that Jim Jordan didn't change their mind. In fact, a few of those holdout votes said they didn't go to that meeting to listen to Jim Jordan. They went to that meeting to convince Jim Jordan to drop out of the race. So that's not a great sign for Jim Jordan's operation to turn no votes into yeses. Last point here, Diane, you also heard Jim Jordan get that crucial question of what is your plan? Firstly, I can tell you, I've talked to Jordan allies who say even they don't know the plan. They're not even certain of what his plan is, and they are backing him, and they're strong Jordan allies who have been even involved with his team on conversations about strategy. That's the first point. The second point is there are some rumblings, and you heard questions there of if Jordan loses this vote today, even if he loses a second vote today, will they vote through the weekend? Jordan seemed to indicate that they would, because he said the goal, quote, this weekend is to get a Speaker of the House. And he said, and I'll quote him directly here, there's been multiple rounds of balloting for Speaker before, referring to those 15 rounds in 5 days it took Kevin McCarthy to become the Speaker of the House.
Yeah, he kind of said that one with a smirk. I want to bring in correspondent, our senior congressional correspondent, Rachel Scott. Rachel, you were there in the press conference, in the room. Jordan is emphasizing the urgency here. He says we need to get to work for the American people. We can't do that if the House isn't open, and we can't open the House without a Speaker. But Jim Jordan can't be Speaker with 22 Republicans not supporting him. So how does this unfold now?
And Congressman Jim Jordan has built his entire brand on being a fighter, and so he doesn't want to drop out of this race just on the second or third ballot. You heard him here saying that he's willing to take this multiple rounds, and so he will be going to the floor again today for this third bid for Speaker of the House, and he is expected to lose it because his challenge is convincing more than a dozen Republicans to somehow support him. He huddled with Republicans behind closed doors yesterday. He huddled with those holdouts again. Every single one of them left that room saying that they aren't supporting Jordan. So he's nowhere closer to getting the 217 votes that he would need to become the next Speaker of the House. Yes, we are hearing him saying, yes, there's other fights that have gone on longer. 15 rounds, that's what we saw McCarthy go through back in January. But look at where we are right now in this nation. You have one speaker that was ousted for reaching across the aisle and working with Democrats to fund the government. You have someone else that was nominated then had to drop out because they didn't get the support. Now you have Congressman Jim Jordan. You have a temporary speaker who cannot do anything at this point, as you have multiple crises unfolding, not only with the deadline to fund the government now less than a month away, but also now this crisis unfolding in Israel. You have the president calling for more aid to Israel and Ukraine. The House cannot move forward. They cannot do anything. Democrats, quite frankly, don't even know who they should be negotiating at this point. Do they negotiate with McCarthy? Do they negotiate with McHenry? Do they negotiate with Jordan, who may not eventually become the Speaker of the House if he can't get the votes? This is chaotic. Republicans will tell you themselves this is a mess, and almost no one here knows how this is going to end and what the path forward is.
So, Rachel, what do we know at this point about this third vote expected today, and what happens if it fails?
Well, if it fails, it seems like Congressman Jim Jordan is going to want to go another round. Now, whether or not that's going to happen immediately, something that we saw when McCarthy was continuing his bid for Speaker, he did vote after vote after vote. It would fail and fail and fail again, and then he was trying to put more pressure on those holdouts to cave. Eventually, he was able to get them to do so. So it's unclear if we're going to see multiple rounds of voting today, but Congressman Jim Jordan's team is not ruling out that this could possibly stretch into the weekend, and it's unclear if this strategy of trying to tire out Republicans to get them to come around is really going to work here. Because, again, you already have this immense pressure campaign that is unfolding on some of these holdouts, to the point where some of them are now receiving death threats. Congressman Don Bacon telling me that his wife is getting menacing phone calls and voicemails at this point. They say this has all gone too far, and right now their opposition against Jordan is not waning at this point. They're only digging in, saying that they don't believe that he's the best candidate to become the next speaker. One last thing that I just want to say, because Congressman Jordan was given an opportunity in there once again when he was asked whether or not he believes the 2020 election was stolen. This is a question that I have put to him. This is a question that other reporters up here have put to him. He still has not come forward and said that Donald Trump has lost the election. And so we are at the point where the possible next Speaker of the House is still not willing to come forward and openly acknowledge the results of the 2020 election, Diane.
One of the reasons so many holdouts are refusing to change their mind to vote for him. Senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott, Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill, thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.